Hello everyone, this is Kathleen and I am happy to be here to show you the final flip through of this trashy recycled junk journal that I've been working on, and I am happy that it's done, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it up on the Etsy. It has turned out to be actually kind of chunky for what I intended. It is about 6.5 wide and 9.25 inches tall in the end. Do you remember that we made the cover from a paper bag, and so and then we've done this mixed media stuff on top, and it has a ribbon binding, and I have added these beads and charms here to that spine, and a button closure with a hair tie loop. So let's go inside and see how it looks. Here is the inside cover. You remember we did this collage and a little bit of texture paste there. This initial junk mail envelope. Everything in here is either from the thrift store or from the trash. This was from a little package of leftover invitation cards, and I think those are pretty, and it fits just nicely right in there. This is some silk, a ruffle here, and the edge of an old recycled napkin. It's hand embroidered or hand crocheted lace edging, just pretty. And I've just left this private and confidential. Yeah, a little bit of collage there. Just one of those recycled notepads and some stenographer's note paper. A little bit of a book image there. So, you know, kittens don't really have anything to do with roses, but I've tried to, you know, create unity through colors, particularly in this book. I love this. This is a vintage wrapping paper. I've made a little cardboard charm and with an antique button here. Just tied that on. Here's an envelope with that calendar collaged. So all of the ephemera, you know, I did a separate video with that, and so I'll refer you to that if you want to see all of those more closely. Just a couple of note papers in there. Here's another envelope with these journaling cards. Some texture paste again there. Stenciling. I enjoyed doing the hand dyeing on some of these papers to try to again create the unity in the colors. So just a half-page book page pocket, and then this is that vintage typing paper that's been folded. I used a bunch of little book illustrations from that encyclopedia to create the edge on that page. Some recycled lace. These two handmade pieces. Some seam binding. There's that postcard. Turned out pretty. Some lace here, and here's the center. This large junk mail envelope that I have embossed. Done a little bit of stamp collage there. So this is a pocket. This is just a little like file slot. And same on this side. And some more embossing here. This is just, you know, a book page. We did that collage together. And in that video, the last video, and just have it stuck on with that paper clip there. A little bit of seam binding again, the lace seam binding. Quite often find this in the thrift store, and I always am happy to get seam binding. Just a little bit of fabric on the edge of that. So this flips out. I kind of like the way that works. So this is that recycled postcard that I have sanded. And this is just the book page. Plenty of journaling space there. These are some vintage tickets that I've just made into a belly band. This is a really lovely piece of, it's tissue, well, yeah, I'm not sure what kind of paper, but it's vintage, and it's oh, I'm trying to remember, you know, it used to be, you would have a piece of this in between, and as you typed, then it would make a copy. This is the copy. Oh, I can't think what that is. Carbon, the carbon sheet. Yeah. Here's that. I used the texture medium, gel medium to take the shine off of that photo. And just a couple of pieces of ephemera there. A little bit of collage and a little fabric snippet here on this. There's the fold over belly band, and it's just a picture from the encyclopedia. I just put some paper on the back. This is another little piece of vintage wrapping paper. It'd be fun to journal on. And this pocket here on the other side, these are just the plain papers. The other side of that envelope, a couple of pieces of this is just sanded. It's a paint chip, and I just sanded this off and then did a little stamp right over that. You can barely see the writing underneath, and a vintage time check. So that goes, time check goes in the envelope, and the paint chip just goes right there. Little fun little recycled playing card. A little bit of collage down here. There's another pocket. This vintage index card. The other side of that envelope, this has just a vintage recipe in it for apple sauce cake. So it's just the other side of all the papers in the signature. A little bit of collage here for interest. Here's that note from the United Methodist Church. And I just covered up the stamp there on the back. So that's lots of journaling space in that card. This is another postcard that I sanded and then smushed. And another little bent paper clip. Here's the last page. It had the letterhead on it, and I just covered that up with this little, just some strips that kind of mimic the stripes on the cover. And then finally this little piece of the envelope, and it's just a vintage note paper. And that's the last pocket, and here's the back cover. I decided just to leave it the way it is, a little bit more of that texture paste, and I just really like the way that has turned out. Here's the back. So the nice thing about these semi-soft covers is that no matter how much you put in there, it will kind of mold itself, you know, around the bulk, and so it can expand quite a ways. And so even though it is just one signature, it's a chunky signature. There's 106 pages. There's 20 pockets and tuck spots, 16 pieces of the real original ephemera, and then 15 pieces of the handmade ephemera that I made from trash. And so thanks for coming along on this little journey of the Trashy recycled journal, and I will put this up on my Etsy, and hope that someone enjoys it as much as I enjoyed making it. Thanks so much for being with me.